start again. It's a redskin.
What's going on? What's up, the Nation, Panther Nation? It's your man, C. Dougie here, man. Got the Kool-Aid smile going on. Reason why is no more mock drafts. Draft weekend is finally over with. We know who we got. Still bringing people in undrafted, but for me, I set back, look at our picks, look at tape, look at PFF, look at NFL.com, and I can be happier. Hopefully, Panther Nation's happy as well with these picks that we brought in, man. Dan Morgan, I know we've all been saying let Dan cook. Me personally, outside of one pick, I think Dan cooked from Thursday night all the way till mid-afternoon Saturday to bring in young talent to go along with this decent defensive focus free agency that we just had a couple of months back, man. But we're going to get into it. Go ahead and pull up a chair, get your favorite snack, get your favorite drink, and let's go ahead and talk about the draft. Day one, I think there was no really surprises between 1 and 8. Only surprise was the Jacksonville Jaguars went and got Travis Hunter. Other than that, they traded up with the Browns. I was totally fine with everything else. When we got on the clock, I know everybody was thinking we're going to get Jalen Walker. Jalen Walker did not come to Carolina. We got our guy, Ted McMillan, the new number one wide receiver in Carolina with the 8th pick. How I felt about it, I got kind of lied to, bamboozled, thinking that we were going to get a defensive player. Lo and behold, we got our guy. We don't have to go get a T. Higgins. You don't have to go get a Tyreek Hill. You don't have to worry about going to get somebody else's wide receiver that we've tried to do for years for us to go get our guy. Ted McMillan is now your number one wide receiver. I see what we did with this pick, meaning that we got Etzel last year. We traded up for Etzel last year. The problem I don't have with it is nobody had a problem with the Bengals going to get T. Higgins in the second round, but then went and got Jamar Chase the next year. What's the difference with Carolina? I understand everybody's saying his defense is historically terrible, which it was. But what we need right now, I think we needed our guy. And one thing you should not be upset with is we got Tech. Some of the strengths that I like is size, bounce, body control, and to dominate airspace, meaning that you look at what Drake London does. You see what Mike Evans has done to Carolina years over and over and over. Every game, whenever he plays, he at least has one of those dynamic games where he's just dominating from a size standpoint of a wide receiver. Also, for me, that's your over-the-shoulder go balls guy right there. Etzel brings a different trait that Tech does not do, and there are two different wide receivers. Again, when you have a big body wide receiver, 6'3", 6'4", you can't teach size. The problem that I think we do have to understand with Tech, he has to build up to his speed. He's just not going to come out the gate off his break or out his route just at top speed. He builds up to speed. So that's where you see one of those negatives can struggle to get off press man coverage, meaning if there's a good corner that can get his hands on him, he can't get off because he doesn't have that go-to speed. But for me, I think Ted McMillan right here at 8, looking at his pros and cons and what we needed, was the perfect wide receiver that we needed right there. So for me, I honestly think I couldn't be more mad with Ted being number 1 and then going with number 8. So right now, I honestly think out the gate, Dan had a total smoke screen up. Nobody knew that we were really that serious about Ted McMillan with the ways of taking defense, trying to solidify that front 4 or front 7. So with the smoke screen that Dave Canales and Dan put out so far, I'm excited. Again, like I said, we got our guy. And I know y'all going to say, Doug, you're repeating it. We got our guy. You don't have to worry about, for at least 5 years, hopefully, you don't have to worry about going to get another wide receiver because we have our young core. You have a young core now. Ted McMillan's 22. Jalen Coker's 23. Xavier Legette is 24. And I did put JT Saunders out there at 22 as well, with him being drafted within these last 2 years for being our new weapons. I understand Jimmy Horn was picked at in round 7. We'll talk about Jimmy Horn whenever it gets to his slide. But right now, uncharted territory. When is the last time we set a quarterback up in Carolina to have weapons galore like we're doing Bryce Young right now? Everybody probably saying this is where there are no more excuses, Bryce. You have everything at your disposal. Yes, he does. But we never did this for Cam Newton, one of the greatest quarterbacks, not just in Panthers history, but in NFL history. We never set Cam Newton up with a plethora of wide receivers or weapons that we have right here. When you look at it, you got a 22, 23, 24, and 22-year-old weapons that can grow and mold with their quarterback. Yes, I did put Mr. Reliable, the elder statesman, and Adam Thielen, who's 34. Adam Thielen is the best veteran wide receiver to lead and to teach these young men how the game is played, how to go about your everyday football career. Again, bringing Ted McMillan in, again with Jalen Coker, Etzel, and JT Saunders, the sky's the limits for this offense. I've seen numerous people say, oh, Bryce is throwing for 4,000 yards. I'm not going to go that far quite yet, people, because, again, you still got Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dow. But for me, there's no more excuses for he doesn't have talent around him. Because now, if you look at what Bryce was able to do in his Alabama days, he had the same thing. He had big body wide receivers, and he was able to produce. Now you can put Etzel in that slot position. Or you can also play Tet in the slot position. Jalen Coker, who was undrafted, everybody's still forgetting about, that came around the back end when Bryce had his resurgence of the second half of 2024 season. So uncharted territory is now something that we don't have to worry about. We don't have to say, oh, we don't have any weapons in the wide receiver room. You have a young core. You have a young core that can come in and dominate from day one with the chemistry with Bryce. And also a good point, shout out to, I think it was Adam for that point, Bryce Young and Ted have already been practicing, and let me take the slide down, practicing with each other in Cali, going ahead and getting that chemistry together. So, again, welcome to the Carolinas, Nola. And we did put that up there as well at the top. And I can't wait to see you rock that number 4 jersey in process blue. Now let's go ahead and go to night 2. We all knew that we needed defense coming out the gate. And lo and behold, we got a double dip. I understand how some people feel about Nick Scorton. He didn't have a great year at Texas A&M, but go back to his playing weight that he's dropped now to get to that 250 range. He had 10 plus sacks at Purdue. But one thing that stands out to me is that pass rush rate, which is 80.6, which is in that elite tier. And also his pass rush win rate was at 17% even. And one thing that I wanted to point out on the slide that I'll read to you is physical edge presence with the potential for catering havoc on all 3 downs. He plays with adequate hustle and range in pursuit, and it runs with heavy pads. Has a electric rusher with a mature rush plan and rarely shows opponents the same look on consistent plays, meaning that he's in his toolbox. Only at 20 years old, you can't beat that right now. And if I'm not mistaken, I saw another tweet on X that DJ Johnson's already at 27. You have a young man at 20 that is not even in his mature state to actually add to that toolbox of defensive moves. So again, Nick Scorton may not have been the pick, but nobody knew that Nick Scorton would fall down the board where he's able to come at Carolina at that point where we did trade up to go get him, but nobody knew that we were going to have to be in that realm of picks to be able to bring in Nick Scorton at Carolina. Now, the next one I really have been trying to lock to Carolina is 91.5 pass rush rate. Again, 91.5 pass rush rate. Mind-blowing. Then his pass rush win rate is at a 22.8%. His bio that we looked up and wanted to put on the screen: finesse edge defender with traits, athleticism, and upside to have his sack production translate to the NFL. Princely is a serious ground gainer with burst, stride, and bend to create shallow edges leading directly into the quarterback's drop sacks, meaning that he can produce the pressure, and you can have a Derek Brown, a Ashawn Robinson, a Bobby Brown Jr., Trayvon Wharton, Pat Jones, a Nick Scorton come on and get and hit and finish the sack with him applying pressure. So the double dip right there, I understand the depth that we have, and we just named some of the players off. Now you're looking at a shot total that who may not make it, a DJ Johnson that may not make it, Barno that may not make it. We probably did say Barno's name. This room now looks totally different. From free agency to the draft, I'm not mad at this pick, and I understand people are saying that why get Nick Scorton again? He's only 20 years old, people. You're looking at the Texas A&M film. Go back and do your own homework and look at when he played at Purdue and he had 10 plus sacks before he went to Texas A&M. Princely, 6'4", long, rangy type defensive end. I know there's rumors out there about Jadeveon Clowney possibly getting cut to say that 7.7 so we can bring in Justin Blackman as safety from the Indianapolis Colts. But for me, I'm okay with this because I kind of told everyone that Dan Morgan said we were going to double dip. When I met him at the Shrine Bowl, he stated that, hey, I don't know the names, but we're going to be very aggressive in free agency and we're going to double dip. And I'm like, I'll take it with a grain of salt. But Dan Morgan was a man of his word. He basically double dipped early in the draft. We got our offensive weapon. Now let me go ahead and attack this defensive front on night 2. And for me, I will give the grade for Nick Scorton a B minus because he's young, but that's not a failing grade for me. The one that I really love was Princely, which is that A. And then he even said, "What took y'all so long to come get me?" And then he actually stated that in 3 to 4 years, y'all gonna pay me, meaning that he's coming in with his hard hat, head down, and ready to show that he deserves to be one of the top players and the top young players up in this league. So right now, again, Dan Morgan, Dave Canales, Brent Tillis are killing the draft, knocking it out the park. I honestly feel like there's nothing that they could have done differently in night 1 and night 2. Now let's go ahead and head to night 3. First pick we got, round 4, pick 114 was Trevor Etienne. When we got the running back, I was shocked that we picked that running back that early. Why you say that, Doug? Because you still have Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dow, Blackshear, and obviously we know Jonathan Brooks is going to be on long-term IR this year. When you look at that round, you figure out there was going to be a run of running backs. Scatterboo went to the Giants. Jacquizz Hunter, who we brought in for a top 30 visit, went that round as well. It was just a run of running backs. And I said, get the pen and pen right there. Yes and no. But I love what Trevor Etienne brings from a different type of back that we have on this roster. Rushing grade was 86.7. Make sharp cuts at full speed with excellent quickness in a burst. Meaning for me, if you put him we use this term, in a telephone booth, he can get away. You're not going to be able to just take him down so easily. Cuts very well. But the thing for me is runs with physicality, finishes through contact despite his size. He's only 5'8", 5'9", if I'm not mistaken. But also, he's great. He's a great pass catcher. One thing we knew, Chuba coming out the gate, he was not a good pass catcher. Is Chuba still in that above average or elite pass catchers out the backfield? No. For me, I honestly think he's average. He's not above average. Look at Rico Dow. Rico Dow's only here for 1 year. Rico Dow comes in, gets 1,000 yards or close to 1,000 yards. We're not re-signing him because then you have Chuba Hubbard that's already on his new deal. Jonathan Brooks coming back from a full year of recovery. Then you got Trevor Etienne. So for me, I understand the pick. I think it was more rushed because I would have rather them switch these picks with our other 4th round pick where we got Nathan Ransom out of Ohio State. Here's our safety. I understand a lot of people say that he reminds them of Travion Moore that we just brought in from free agency. But the thing for me is that he had the highest run defensive grade in college football last year at a 93.7. Has that hard hat, wants to make that big hit. But also with him bringing in that big hit and that hard hat, you can't always give that hard hit because somebody can put you in the dirt as well. So he does have inconsistency with tackling. It just comes to that run stop grade. But for me, some of his attributes are delivers hits with authority and is disruptive over the middle, downhill aggressive playing the run, and always looking to punch the ball out. Again, we had a corner / safety and Peanut Tillman that was here at Carolina. Ron Harper, and I probably said the wrong name. Harper, I can't think of his name. We got him from the Saints, but Harper, I'll probably laugh at it when I play this back, but we need ball hawking, aggressive, non-nonsense safeties. You look at when we had a Xavier Woods, you had a Sam Franklin, Jordan Fuller. Our safeties were the weak point of that, our DBs. Regardless of how I felt about Mike Jackson, I knew Mike Jackson needed that safety over the top. Now you bring in a Travion Moore, you bring in a Lathan Ransom, you still had Damani Richardson. I'm more comfortable with this room now than I was before the draft. No, it's not done because, again, we said about Justin Blackman. I hope he does come to Carolina. Again, it's post-draft. We need another safety in that room. But we did get a safety because I would have been very upset if Dan Morgan was this aggressive, trading up, and you didn't go get a guy. And again, most of these guys that we brought in did not have top 30 visits right now. So there was some homework being done behind the scenes where they knew we needed to get certain players at certain positions. So with our 4th round picks, I'll give the 4th round. I gotta be honest. I'll give a C+. Borderline B, but C+ because, again, I do think that Trevor Etienne pick was kind of rushed. But I understand the mindset looking forward where you don't wait to get a player. You go ahead and attack the need now. So C+ so far in day 3. One of my favorite picks right here. Big boy Cam Jackson, 6'6", 328. With pick round 5, pick 140, we got a guy that we brought in. I think one of the first top 30 visits that we announced, and we also met with him at the combine. You finally got your big body nose tackle. Everybody looks at Chris Jones. Everybody looks at Jordan Davis. We got our guy. Again, regardless of, he doesn't need to be an every down back. He's that different change of pace nose tackle to go along with Bobby Brown the third, Derrick Brown, and Ashawn Robinson. Again, he's gonna be the biggest one that we have on the roster. 6'6", 328. Freakish traits and measures help him stand out. Eventually overtakes blocks and shoves them to the side. Plays with adequate bend and very powerful punch at the point. But his inconsistencies are because of his weight. We don't need him to be that. We just need him to be a space eater, but be dominant with what he has. Plays with inconsistency base with block take on, which we can fix. Will get overextended into the block, causing some unbalance because of the weight. And then needs to keep pads square to avoid losing his gap leverage. We can fix that. Everything that is a deficiency for Cam Jackson can be fixable. And I honestly think, again, Dan Morgan really shut a lot of fans up. He didn't shut me up because I never gave up on Dan. Never said that he was Scott Fitt 2.0 or he was in the room. He didn't make decisions. You look at the decisions this man has made in 2 years being a GM. He's doing a great job. A tremendous job, really. And most of these guys that we're bringing in, you hear it through their phone calls when we're talking to Dan Morgan. They're ready to get to work. And the youth movement that we need right now, I love, because you need those veterans, but you also need that ounce of youth to come in. But again, welcome to the Carolinas. 6'6", 328, Cam Jackson out of Florida, man. And to end out the draft in round 5 and round 6, competitive depth. We go get a tight end, which I think Notre Dame is kind of in that tight end U type universe. Mitchell Evans, and a home run hit. I call it out the park is Jimmy Horn Jr. I understand we did get the guy Granger from Coastal Carolina, but I think Mitchell Evans can come in and produce, but he doesn't need to be that star-studded tight end that we have. That's where you have a Tommy Tremble and JT Sanders. But I think Evans brings a different element to that room where he's your true tight end. Sanders is more of a stand-up. He can be that flex type wide receiver, tight end type. But Evans comes in, great blocker, all three levels. Hand in the dirt, stand up, whatever you need. And I think he does make the roster. That's why I put competitive depth. Look at the tight ends that we have that I think he will be competing with is Tommy Tremble, JT Sanders, Jordan Matthews, and Colin Granger. Right now, if you say, Doug, who would you put as our 4 tight ends? Tommy Tremble, JT Sanders, Jordan Matthews, and Mitchell Evans. And I hate we're not going to be there for training camp because some of these position battles are going to be out the park. They're going to be out the park. I really hate for 2 years I have to sit here and rely on what the Panthers give us or what the beat writers of the Charlotte area are put out. Because, yeah, most of us contenders can give you guys the content. We've been talking behind the scenes trying to figure out how we can come together and collab. But that's here nor there. The end of our draft, we got Jimmy Horn Jr. I met this young man at the Shrine Bowl. And for me, if you know his story with his dad, I was rooting for the young man already. Shout out to Coach Prom. Shout out to Colorado. Shout out to UCF, where he started his career at. Jimmy Horn is short, but he's a bulldog. He's a bulldog, people. Seeing him in person at the Shrine Bowl, I like Tate Wester as well. I would have took Tate Wester or Jimmy Horn. We got Jimmy Horn. Jimmy Horn is going to make this team. Jimmy Horn is a nonsense. I'm going to do whatever you need me to do type player. And if you look at, I know we brought in Hudson. We also brought George in from Miami. But I don't think Devin Moore is going to make it. I ain't putting a bold prediction out there. Also, is his name Dan Chisney? He's not going to make it either. There's finally competition and true competition where you need playmakers. You need touchdown getters. That's what Dave Canales said. He wanted touchdown getters on this team going into 2025. And Jimmy Horn brings another element that I think is going to be a good competition as well. Punt return and kickoff return. Blackshear was brought back, but I think Jimmy Horn beats him out. I really do think Jimmy Horn beats him out. Again, for our recap, you got Ted McMillan. Then you got Nick Scorton. You got Princely, Trevor Etienne, Ransom, Jackson, Mitchell Evans. I hope I said his name right. Yep, Mitchell Evans. And Jimmy Horn Jr. For me, my grade for Dan Morgan was an A-. I cannot be mad at anything Dan Morgan did. Again, I know I gave us that C+ in the beginning of day 3, but an A- is not bad. One thing that he wanted to do is he wanted to bring in at least 3 to 4 starters out of this draft class. Obviously, we know Ted McMillan is going to start. Princely's probably going to, it depends. Princely, I can see. Then you bring in Ransom, who's probably going to start, unless we go get Blackman. That's 3 right there. We're not even talking about Jackson, Evans, or Jimmy Horn Jr. I am totally fine with this because, again, some of our contracts on the defensive end, they only have 1 more year in their contract and they're let go. You didn't wait till free agency of 2026 to go ahead and bring in people. You went ahead and attacked the need now. Dan Morgan, I appreciate everything you're doing for the Carolinas. I see the vision. I understand that you even fell on your own sword and said, I didn't help my coach as much as I could have last year. You finally done it, man. And now it's time for these players to come in for rookie minicamp and training camp to fight for their spots. And when September rolls around, I do think this Carolina Panthers team is way better on paper than it was last year. Chat, tell me what you guys think, man. Are you liking the picks? Who was your favorite pick? What else can we talk about? Who do we miss out on? I know we did a lot of mock drafts over here. What's up, Dub? We talked about a lot of players, but for me, I think I couldn't be more happier than what we got right now. Also, we got a special guest joining us supposedly Wednesday. We'll put the details out on Tuesday. You'll see the thumbnail on Wednesday. No Blitz Talk on Thursday. We're headed out to Fort Sill for military training. And we got a couple more guests before we take a little short vacation for the month of June. Come back a little bit for July, full swing in August. So again, we appreciate everybody joining us. Hopefully, everybody's enjoying their weekend, getting ready for the work week. I know everybody's gonna be talking about these picks. Also, shout out to all the Panther content creators that covered this draft, man. I definitely appreciate the ones that brought me up. Again, support every content creator in Panther Nation. We all have different perspectives, but we all rock with each other, man. So it's your man C Dougie here. What's up, Doug? Everybody stay blessed. Everybody stay safe. Until next time. Peace.